Friends, I want you to think about something for a moment. Every single one of us has a choice to make. Right here, right now, we can choose to grow, to push ourselves beyond our limits, to become more than we ever thought possible. Or we can choose to make excuses, to remain stagnant, to accept mediocrity as our destiny. Which path will you choose? Growth is not just about getting better. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. It's about fulfilling your purpose, realizing your potential, and leaving a lasting impact on this world. But here's the thing. Growth does not happen by accident. It's a deliberate choice, a conscious decision we must make every single day. There was once a young man named David who dreamed of becoming a successful entrepreneur. He had big ideas, grand visions of what he could achieve. But every time he tried to take a step forward, he found himself held back by fear, by self-doubt, by the voice in his head that told him he wasn't good enough. For years, David made excuses. I'm not ready yet, he'd say. The market is not right. I don't have enough experience. And with each excuse, his dreams slipped further and further away. He watched as others around him took risks, started businesses, and found success. All the while, he remained stuck, trapped by his own limitations. Then one day, David had an epiphany. He realized that his excuses were nothing more than a shield, a way to protect himself from the possibility of failure. But in protecting himself from failure, he was also shielding himself from success. In that moment, David made a choice. He decided to focus on growth, not excuses. From that day forward, David approached every challenge as an opportunity to learn and improve. When he encountered obstacles, instead of making excuses, he asked himself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become better? He sought out mentors, read voraciously, and took calculated risks. And you know what? His business began to flourish. His success wasn't just about his business. As he focused on growth, he found himself becoming more confident, more resilient, more alive. He was no longer the person who shied away from challenges. He became someone who embraced them, who saw them as stepping stones to greatness. Growth is not always comfortable. In fact, it's often downright uncomfortable. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones, to face our fears, to confront our weaknesses head on. But it's in those moments of discomfort that we truly grow. When you go to the gym and lift weights, what happens? Your muscles tear. It's painful. But it's in the healing of those tears that your muscles grow stronger. The same principle applies to our personal and professional growth. The challenges we face, the obstacles we overcome, they are not holding us back. They are making us stronger, more capable, more resilient. We see these challenges, these moments of discomfort, and we retreat. We make excuses. It's too hard. We say, I am not cut out for this. Maybe next time in doing so. We rob ourselves of the very experiences that could transform us into the people we are meant to be. What excuses are you making right now? What dreams have you put on hold? Because you have convinced yourself you are not ready, not good enough, not deserving. I want you to take a moment and really think about that. Because those excuses, they are not protecting you, they are imprisoning you. Excuses are the nails used to build the house of failure. Every time you make an excuse, you are hammering another nail into the structure of your limitations. But here's the good news. You have the power to tear down that house. You have the ability to choose growth over excuses, progress over stagnation, success over mediocrity. Now, I am not saying it's going to be easy. Growth requires effort. It demands dedication. It calls for perseverance. But I promise you, it's worth it. Because on the other side of that effort, that dedication, that perseverance, is a version of yourself that you have only dreamed of becoming. There was a woman named Elaina who had always dreamed of running a marathon, but for years, she told herself she couldn't do it. I am not a runner, she'd say. I don't have the time to train. I am too old to start now. Sound familiar? But one day, Elaina decided to stop making excuses and start taking action. She began with small steps, literally. She started by walking around her block. Then she progressed to jogging short distances. Each day, she pushed herself a little further, a little harder. There were days when Elaina wanted to quit, days when her muscles ached, when her lungs burned, when her mind screamed at her to stop. But instead of giving in to those voices, instead of falling back on her old excuses, Elaina chose to focus on growth. She reminded herself that each step, no matter how small, was bringing her closer to her goal. Months passed. And Elaina's short jogs turned into long runs. Her stamina improved. Her confidence grew. And then one crisp autumn morning, Elaina found herself at the starting line of her first marathon. As she looked around at the sea of runners, she realized something profound. The race wasn't just about crossing the finish line. It was about every step she had taken to get there. Every excuse she had overcome. Every moment she had chosen growth over comfort. Elaina finished that marathon. But more importantly, she finished as a completely different person than the one who had started training months before. She was stronger, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. She had proven to herself that she was capable of far more than she had ever imagined. I want you to think about your own marathon. What's that big goal you have been putting off? What's that dream you have convinced yourself is out of reach? I am here to tell you that it's not. But achieving it starts with a choice, the choice to focus on growth, not excuses. When we make excuses, we give away our power. We become victims of our circumstances rather than masters of our destiny. But when we focus on growth, we take that power back. We become the architects of our own success, the creators of our own opportunities. Think about the most successful people you know. The ones who've achieved great things, who've made a real impact on the world. Do you think they got there by making excuses? Of course not. They got there by embracing growth, by seeing every challenge as an opportunity to learn and improve. Growth is not just about achieving external success. It's not just about making more money or getting a better job or running a marathon. Those things are great, don't get me wrong. But true growth, meaningful growth, goes much deeper than that. Real growth is about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about developing your character, expanding your mind, nurturing your spirit. It's about becoming more compassionate, more resilient, more authentic. It's about aligning your actions with your values and living a life of purpose and meaning. When you focus on this kind of growth, the external successes often follow naturally. Because when you become the best version of yourself, you naturally attract better opportunities. You make better decisions. You build stronger relationships. You create more value for others. But it all starts with a choice. The choice to stop making excuses and start embracing growth. The choice to step out of your comfort zone and into the realm of possibility. The choice to become the person you were always meant to be. I know what some of you might be thinking, but you don't understand my situation. I have real limitations, real obstacles. And I hear you, I truly do. We all face challenges. We all have circumstances that make growth difficult. But here's the truth, those challenges, those obstacles, they are not stop signs, they are guideposts. They are showing you exactly where you need to focus your growth efforts. Let me tell you about my friend Michael. Michael was born with a severe physical disability that limited his mobility. For years, he used his disability as an excuse. I can't pursue that career. Say, I can't travel the world. I can't live independently. And for a while, those excuses defined his life. But then Michael had a realization. He saw that by focusing on what he couldn't do, he was missing out on the things he could do. So he made a decision. He decided to focus on growth, not limitations. He decided to see his disability not as a barrier, but as a unique perspective that could add value to the world. Michael starts small. He began by challenging himself to do one new thing each day. No matter how small, Some days it was as simple as preparing his own meal. Other days, it was reaching out to someone new and starting a conversation. But each of these small acts of growth began to add up. As Michael focused on growth, amazing things started to happen. He discovered talents he never knew he had. He developed a passion for writing and started a blog about living with a disability. His unique perspective resonated with people all over the world. Soon he was invited to speak at conferences, to consult with companies on accessibility issues, to write for major publications. But the most remarkable transformation wasn't in Michael's external circumstances. It was in Michael himself. He became more confident, more resilient, more joyful. He stopped seeing himself as a victim of his circumstances and started seeing himself as the author of his own story. Now Michael travels the world, sharing his message of growth and possibility. He lives independently, runs a successful business, and has a rich, fulfilling life, not in spite of his disability, but in many ways because of it. Because it taught him the power of focusing on growth, not excuses. I share Michael's story not to minimize the challenges you might be facing, but to show you that no matter what your circumstances, you have the power to choose growth. You have the ability to turn your obstacles into opportunities, your limitations into strengths. But it requires a fundamental shift in mindset. It requires you to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become better? It requires you to see every challenge, every setback, every failure not as a reason to give up, but as a chance to grow. Growth is not always about overcoming your weaknesses. Sometimes it's about leveraging your strengths. It's about identifying what you are naturally good at and becoming even better at it. It's about finding your unique gifts and developing them to their fullest potential. If you plant a rose bush in the desert, it's going to struggle. No matter how much you water it, no matter how much you care for it, it's never going to thrive in that environment. But if you take that same rose bush and plant it in rich, fertile soil with plenty of sunlight and water, it will flourish. It will grow into a beautiful, vibrant plant that brings joy to everyone who sees it. The same principle applies to your personal growth. You need to find your fertile soil. You need to identify the areas where you have natural talent, natural passion, and focus your growth efforts there. Because when you align your growth with your innate strengths and passions, that's when you truly flourish. That's when you become unstoppable. Identifying your strengths, finding your passion is not always easy. It requires self-reflection. It requires honesty. It requires a willingness to try new things, to step out of your comfort zone, to risk failure in pursuit of growth. And that's where many of us falter. We are so afraid of failing, so afraid of looking foolish, that we never take the risk necessary for real growth. We stick to what we know, what feels safe, what's comfortable. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to discover our true potential. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of growth is preceded by countless failure setbacks and moments of doubt. The difference between those who achieve great things and those who don't is not the absence of failure. It's the response to failure. When you focus on growth, failure becomes your teacher, not your enemy. It becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. It becomes a necessary part of your journey, not a reason to quit. Think about a baby learning to walk. That baby is going to fall down hundreds of times before they take their first successful steps. But does the baby give up? Does the baby make excuses? Of course not. The baby keeps trying, keeps growing, keeps pushing forward. And eventually those wobbly first steps turn into confident strides. We need to approach our own growth with that same persistence, that same resilience. We need to be willing to fall down, to make mistakes, to look foolish in pursuit of our goals. Because it's in those moments of vulnerability, those moments of struggle, that we truly grow. When I talk about focusing on growth, I am not suggesting that you should be constantly striving. constantly pushing yourself to the point of burnout. Growth is not about running yourself into the ground. It's not about sacrificing your health, your relationships, your joy in pursuit of some arbitrary definition of success. True growth, meaningful growth, is sustainable. It's balanced and encompasses all aspects of your life. Your physical health, your mental well-being, your emotional resilience, your spiritual depth, your relationships, your career, your contribution to the world. Think of it like tending a garden. If you focus all your attention on one plant, watering it constantly, giving it all the sunlight, all the nutrients, what happens to the rest of the garden? It withers. The same is true in our lives. If we focus all our growth efforts on one area, say our careers, at the expense of everything else, we end up with an imbalanced, unfulfilling life. Real growth is about nurturing all aspects of who you are. It's about becoming a more well-rounded, more complete version of yourself. It's about growing not just in your skills and knowledge, but in your capacity for love, for empathy, for joy, for resilience. When you approach growth in this holistic way, each area of your life begins to support and enhance the others. As you become physically healthier, you have more energy for your work and your relationships. As you deepen your emotional intelligence, you become a better leader, a better partner, a better friend. As you can your mind through learning, you become more creative, more innovative in all areas of your life. But this kind of holistic growth requires intention. It requires you to be deliberate about how you spend your time, your energy, your focus. It requires you to regularly step back and assess your life, to ask yourself, am I growing in all the ways that matter? Am I becoming the person I want to be? And that brings me to a crucial point. Growth is not just about becoming better. It's about becoming more authentically yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of fear, of self-doubt, of societal expectations, to reveal the true essence of who you are. Each of us has a unique purpose, a unique contribution to make to this world. But too often, we let our fears, our insecurities, our excuses hold us back from fully embracing that purpose. We play small. We settle for less than we are capable of. We conform to others' expectations rather than having the courage to be truly, authentically ourselves. But when you focus on growth, something magical happens. You start to shed those limiting beliefs. You start to silence that inner critic that tells you are not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. You start to recognize your inherent value, your inherent worth, not because of what you do or what you achieve, but simply because of who you are. And as you embrace your authentic self, as you align your actions with your values, as you step into your purpose, you naturally inspire others to do the same. Your growth becomes a catalyst for the growth of those around you. You create a ripple effect that can change your family, your community, even the world. This journey of growth, of becoming your best self, is not a destination. It's not something you achieve and then you are done. It's a lifelong process. It's a commitment you make to yourself every single day. There will be days when it feels easy, when you are firing on all cylinders, when you can feel yourself expanding and evolving. But there will also be days when it feels impossibly hard. Days when you want to give up. When you are tempted to fall back on your old excuses. Growth is not always linear. It's not a steady upward climb. Sometimes growth looks like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes it looks like standing still, gathering your strength for the next push forward. And sometimes growth even looks like going backwards because you are reassessing, reevaluating, preparing for a big leap forward. The key is to keep your focus on growth, even when you can't see immediate results. To trust the process even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. To keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Every step you take towards growth, no matter how small, is creating your future. Every time you choose to learn instead of making excuses. Every time you push yourself out of your comfort zone. Every time you get back up after falling down, you are shaping the person you are becoming. And that person is capable of far more than you can imagine right now. That person has the power to transform not only their own life, but the lives of countless others. You see, when you commit to growth, you become a beacon of possibility. Your journey inspires others to embark on their own paths of self-improvement and personal development. The ripple effect of your growth, as you become more confident, more resilient, more authentic, you naturally uplift those around you. Your children see what's possible when someone refuses to be limited by their circumstances. Your colleagues are inspired by your dedication and innovative thinking. Your friends are motivated by your willingness to take risks and pursue your dreams. But it goes even deeper than that. When you focus on growth, you develop a unique perspective, one that allows you to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to find solutions where others are stuck on problems. This perspective makes you an invaluable asset in any situation, whether it's in your personal relationships, your career, or your community. Consider how your growth impacts your ability to lead as you develop greater self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. You become the kind of leader people naturally want to follow. Not because of your title or position, but because of who you are as a person. You inspire trust, foster collaboration, and bring out the best in others. In your career, your commitment to growth sets you apart. In a world that's constantly changing, those who can adapt, learn, and evolve are the ones who thrive. By focusing on growth, you are not just keeping up with change, you are staying ahead of it. You are developing the skills and mindset needed to navigate uncertainty and seize new opportunities. But perhaps most importantly, your growth enables you to make a more significant impact on the world as you develop your talents, expand your knowledge, and deepen your understanding. You become better equipped to tackle the challenges facing our society. Whether it's through your work, your volunteer efforts, or simply the way you interact with others on a daily basis, your growth amplifies your ability to create positive change. What would our world look like if everyone committed to this kind of progress? If instead of making excuses, blaming others, or settling for mediocrity, every person chose to focus on becoming the best version of themselves? Can you picture it? The innovation, the compassion, the solutions to seemingly insurmountable problems that would emerge. That's the power of growth-focused thinking. It's not just about personal success or achievement. It's about creating a better world for all of us. This kind of growth does not happen in isolation. We need each other. We need community, support, accountability. We need to surround ourselves with others who are also committed to growth, who challenge us to be better, who pick us up when we fall. That's why it's so important to cultivate relationships with growth-minded individuals. Seek out mentors who can guide you on your journey. Connect with peers who are also striving to improve themselves. Be willing to be vulnerable, to share your struggles and your victories, to both give and receive support. And as you grow, make a commitment to lift others up along with you. Share what you have learned. Offer encouragement to those who are just starting their growth journeys. Be a mentor, a supporter, a cheerleader for others' growth. Remember, true growth is not about competing with others or trying to prove your worth. It's about becoming the fullest, most authentic expression of who you were created to be. It's about unlocking your unique potential and using it to make a positive difference in the world. I want you to pay attention to the small victories. Celebrate the daily choices you make to learn, to improve, to step out of your comfort zone. These seemingly insignificant moments are the building blocks of lasting change. Did you choose to read a book instead of watching TV? That's growth. Did you have a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it? That's growth. Did you try a new approach to a problem instead of falling back on old habits? That's growth. By acknowledging and celebrating these small wins, you build momentum. You reinforce the neural pathways in your brain associated with growth and change. You create a positive feedback loop that makes further growth easier and more natural. But don't just celebrate your own growth. Celebrate the growth you see in others as well. When you notice someone making an effort to improve, to learn, to change, acknowledge it. Your recognition and encouragement could be the fuel they need to keep going when things get tough. For the next 30 days, I want you to make a conscious effort to choose growth over excuses in every situation you encounter. When you face a difficulty, instead of thinking I can, ask yourself, how can I? When you are tempted to avoid a task or responsibility, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Keep a journal of your experiences. Write down the challenges you face, the growth choices you make, and the results you see. At the end of 30 days, take some time to reflect on your journey. I guarantee you will be amazed at how much you have grown, how much you have learned, how much you have accomplished. By the end of those 30 days, choosing growth will have become a habit. It will be your natural response to life's challenges and opportunities. You will have rewired your brain to see every experience as a chance to learn, to improve, to become more of who you are meant to be. I want you to remember this: you are capable of far more than you realize. Your potential for growth, for achievement, for making a positive impact on the world is limitless. But that potential can only be realized if you choose to focus on growth, not excuses. Every day you have a choice to make. Will you shrink back in fear, make excuses, and settle for less than you are capable of? Or will you step forward in courage, embrace the challenges, and commit to becoming the best version of yourself? The choice is yours, but I believe in you. I believe in your capacity for growth, for change, for greatness. And I believe that as you choose growth, as you unlock your full potential, you will not only transform your own life, but the lives of countless others. So go forth with courage and determination. Embrace the journey of growth with all its challenges and triumphs. Be patient with yourself, but never settle for less than you are capable of. Every time you choose growth over excuses, you are not just changing your life, you are changing the world. The future belongs to those who choose growth. Will you be one of them? Thank you